Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining. Sunil here. Can you hear me? Please give confirmations in the chat box. Thank you, Sohel. Thank you all for joining the sessions. Thank you very much for your responses. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's stop the chat. I'm still getting messages, and our team is still getting queries from your end that you are not part of WhatsApp group. So for that reason, we have created altogether a complete new WhatsApp group. So if you are not belonging to the WhatsApp group of this particular training, so please join the WhatsApp group using the link which I'm just posting in my chat box. Okay, so please join the WhatsApp group. Do not join duplicate groups, my dear friends. Don't make it full. So please join this WhatsApp group. Okay, perfect. So what's the plan for today's session? We'll be introducing the concept of status checks, protecting the instance from accidental termination, scale up, scale down, scale in, scale out. We will be dealing about the concept of volumes, snapshots. All these are every day, my dear friends. Every day we are learning more and more. Today we'll be learning about horizontal scaling, vertical scaling. I hope you are enjoying the sessions. Okay. So as usual, before getting into today's concepts, let's have an interaction. This time, obviously, with the international participant, Olusujan Ogunayemi. How are you doing? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. You are from which location?
I really want to ask about yesterday video, but I have your number. I'll text you. I need yesterday video. I want to see how I can quickly make that payment so that I can get that.
I already have shared the PayPal link. You can proceed with that payment. Did you make it?
No.
It's just $16. You have to make the payment. Are you in the WhatsApp group?
Okay, great. I'm just joining.
Please
the WhatsApp
check.
group.
Okay, the new group which I have shared it today, isn't it? You are joining that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
after the session, I'll share you the payment link in that new group. You can proceed with the PayPal link and make the payment. Our team will share you the recordings. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
By the way, how is your learning going on AWS?
Yeah.
How is your learning going on in AWS?
Oh, it's wonderful.
Thank you very much for joining.
Yeah.
Olu.
Hello.
Happy to hear you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for what you do. I'm following up. I'm calling from New Jersey, United States.
Okay.
So I see what you did yesterday about the load balance. I have a bit of experience working on AWS. So there's a quick question I'd like to ask.
Yes, please.
When oh my God.
Your question, please.
I lost where I just. Please let me first.
You are allowed to unmute, Olu. Meanwhile, I'll have a talk with the other participant, Prithvi. Good evening, Prithvi. How are you doing?
Hi, Sunil.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had just one question from yesterday's one. Like
auto scaling.
In auto scaling, we had to define our capacities, like minimum capacity, maximum capacity, and desired capacity.
Yes, you are right.
Yeah, so I just want to understand the difference between the desired capacity and minimum capacity.
Okay. Desired capacity is nothing but the moment you complete the configuration of auto scaling, it will start with the desired capacity.
Okay.
Okay. It will start with the desired capacity.
Okay.
When there is no traffic, then it comes to minimum capacity. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Got it?
But
okay.
We have
one
to
minute.
define
One minute.
Yeah, sure.
Desired capacity. can be, let's say, 5. Minimum capacity can be 2. Maximum capacity can be 10. Agree?
Yes, agree.
So to start with, once you complete the auto configure, auto scaling settings, so it will start with 5 instance.
Yes, yes.
And then for the continuous 5 minutes, if the CPU utilization is less than 30 seconds, then it will come to 2. It will slowly remove one by one. Okay. And it will maintain 2 even though there's 0 traffic. When the traffic increases, it can reach up to 10. Okay. Clear, Prithvi? Am I clear the difference?
Yeah, actually, like we have to define some condition to reach the minimum capacity. Like it automatically defines any condition.
We already have defined the condition. When the CPU utilization is less than 30%, then we have the action. What we performed is we will be removing one instance. Prithvi.
Okay,
In the
okay.
yesterday
That
session,
will
do you
be
remember?
applied here. Yeah, yeah. That
Do you
will be
remember?
applied here.
We have
I
removed
remember.
one instance. When you remove instances, 5 will come to 4.
Okay,
And out of
okay,
4
okay,
instances,
fine.
it will again calculate the average CPU utilization of 4 instances. Like that, it happens.
Yeah, I can
Clear, Prithvi?
clearly understand. Yeah, clear, clear.
Perfect. So
And just one more small
How is your
question.
hands-on
Yeah,
going on?
that was really good actually. Like
You know AWS, or is the first time you're learning AWS, Prithvi?
No, first time I'm learning, but I just had a few things like CloudWatch, which we watch our logs daily. So, but I just.
But now you are getting a deep dive into the concepts of AWS, isn't it?
Like,
okay.
Yeah, now I
May I
can
know your
understand.
experience?
Yeah, 3.5 years experience.
On which platform?
Python.
Python. Okay. Okay. Yes, your question, please. Next.
Yeah, and just one more question. Like we are creating Linux machine using Bootstrap scripts, right? Okay, like
not
that,
Linux machine. We are creating Linux machine using the launch wizard, but the commands what you want to run it automatically, that we are mentioning in the Bootstrap scripts.
Bootstrap scripts. That Bootstrap scripts is only while creating the machine, right? Like
yes,
afterwards,
you're right. It will not execute. Only for the first
time. If I want to change anything, I'll just go to log into that
terminal, putty, and then you have to do it.
Yeah, that's
okay.
That's all I have.
Nothing more.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're from which city?
Vijayawada.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Sudhir Orion.
Yeah, hi Sunil, this is Sudhir.
Hi Sudhir. Good evening. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Your question.
Yeah,
Sudhir, your question.
Yeah, through auto scaling group yesterday we have configured the 4 VMs, but all the VMs name as shown here, it is the web server.
Yes, because we have provided tag. When they're creating auto scaling group, I have provided a tag, and in the tag I have provided name tag, and I have provided it as web server. Do you remember? Okay. So whatever they provide the tag, it because the machine gets created automatically, isn't it? When the machine gets created automatically, it's always good to provide a name to it. Okay, so we cannot change the name dynamically. So it will all the machines will have the same name, web server.
Yeah, okay, because when we are using, when the machines are in the domain, means if it is the same name, we will get the conflict, right?
No, those are not machines. Every machine will have unique number that is called instance ID. So there, okay.
Okay.
So here the names can be anything. That's different. Okay.
Okay.
Clear?
Okay. You mean to say after creating?
You can rename it later.
We can rename.
Okay. That's not.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. Syed Ikram.
Hello.
Hi Syed. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for joining. Yes,
so actually, my background is mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
So currently, I'm working in Wipro.
Oh, currently working in Wipro?
Wipro, yeah.
As a support engineer?
No, in not. It's a non-IT.
Non-IT.
Yeah,
okay.
non-IT process.
Okay.
Demo process. Yeah.
Back office process.
Actually, I just wanted to move in this.
Okay.
IT.
So focus on this learning, whatever we are doing, Syed. Okay. Please be perfect in whatever we are doing. Do practice. I also recommend you to learn DevOps. Please do DevOps also. Both together goes well. You can successfully shift your technology from.
I have one question, sir. I have one question.
Yeah.
So, DevOps is best or architect? AWS architect.
It's up to you. If you want to stick to AWS role, you go for AWS. What I am providing is AWS Certified Solutions Architect, isn't it?
Yeah.
The training what I'm providing now is AWS Certified You know it, right?
Yeah,
Solutions,
solution.
architect, associate level.
Associate level. Yeah.
What I'm providing is associate level. After my training, if you want to be AWS expert, then you go for professional level also. There's one more
Professional, and
level.
after that, special.
There's one more level called professional level. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to be only as an AWS engineer, you don't want to get into DevOps, then go for professional level training after this. Okay. I am not
Yeah.
providing professional level training. There are the other institutes. You can go with professional level training. Okay. Sayed?
So
Okay.
up to associate one.
I provide associate level.
Okay.
This training is associate level. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. One more final call. Ronald. How are you, Ronald? I can see your hand raise.
Good morning, sir.
How are you doing? I can hear you. How are you doing?
Good, sir.
You're from which location?
From the US.
Okay, many from US.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are referred by?
Say it again.
How do you know about our training? Did anybody refer you?
Yeah, a friend.
Okay, Ronald.
A friend attended the DevOps classes, and he talked about you, and I was like, yeah, I mean, let me give it a try.
Okay.
And I do enjoy your method of teaching. I mean, great job.
Thank you, Ronald. How is your learning experience?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, it's tough to integrate it with my profession. We have little time, but we're doing our best.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, your question. Your question, please.
Yeah, my question is, AWS provide us the manual provisioning of EC2 instance, and at the same time, you also have the templates.
Okay.
Yeah. So when is it advisable to use templates?
Your question is what is template and how can we create a template or how do we use a template? Okay, agree?
Yeah, and when it's advisable to use it?
Templates are something called Amazon mission images. Okay, you need to wait for a couple of days so that I'll discuss about this concept of customized Amazon mission images, Ronald. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Those are upcoming concepts.
Okay.
Okay. Anything more?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Status check. Let's proceed with today's class. I want to start with understanding status check. What do you mean by status check? Let's log into AWS. Services EC2. Yes. Can you see we have a column called status check? We have a column called status check. Whenever you create an EC2 mission, every EC2 mission should pass 2 checks. Every EC2 mission should pass how many checks? Every EC2 mission should pass 2 checks. Let's start the mission. Let us start the mission. Observe the status checks column. It is still initializing. Observe the column status checks. For the first time, it will be initialized. And later, let's wait. Generally you get a message saying that 2 checks has been passed. Every EC2 machine should pass how many checks? Every EC2 machine should pass 2 checks. One is instance status check, the other one is system status check. Let's wait for the EC2 machine to get into starting state. Yes. Yes, it's still initializing. So let's wait for some time. But before that, let's get into theory. Whenever you start an EC2 machine, if you look at the status check column, beginning you get initializing and later you get 2 out of 2 checks passed. I hope few of you already have observed. So if you wait for some time, you get 2 out of 2 checks passed. Generally, you get a message 2 out of 2 checks passed. So total every EC2 machine needs to pass how many checks? Every EC2 machine should pass 2 checks. First check is called as instance status check. The other one is system status check. When both the status checks are passed, then you get a message 2 out of 2 passed. What does that mean? Both the checks are passed. If you're getting 1 out of 2 passed, that means you have to understand that 1 check is failed, obviously, and the next one is 1 check is passed. Sometimes you may get a 0 out of 2 passed. This means both the checks failed. Obviously, that's the reason you're getting 0 out of 2. Sometimes you get 2 out of, majority of the cases, you get 2 out of 2 passed. But once in 100 cases, you get 1 out of 2 checks passed. Once in 1,000 cases, you get 0 out of 2 passed. Okay. So look at the status checks column. As you can see, it's 2 out of 2 checks passed. Every EC2 machine should pass how many checks? 2 checks. If you want to see the information about the checks, can you see, select the machine whichever you want, and there is a column called status checks tab, where you can see there are 2 checks. One is system status check, the other one is instance status check. Every EC2 machine should pass how many checks? 2 checks. What are the names of the checks? System status check, the other one is instance status check. Okay. When you're getting 1 out of 2 checks passed, the meaning is 1 check is failed. That means, I hope I want to be very clear, little bit confusing, my dear friends. If you get a status as 1 out of 2 passed, that means you obviously know that 1 check is passed and 1 check is failed. And which check will be passed and which checks will be failed. But sure, system status check will be passed. System status check will be passed. And instance status check is failed. This will be the status if you're getting 1 out of 2 passed. If you're getting 1 out of 2 passed, that means it is guaranteed that the system status check is passed, instance status check is failed. Sure. Instance status check is related to operating system. Instance status check is related to operating system. If there is some issues in loading the operating system, in that case, instance status check will be failed. In such case, what you have to do, the solution, what we have to do is we have to restart the machine. You have to restart the machine. When you restart the machine, what happens? Again, the fresh instance will be, fresh operating system will be loaded. It understands, AWS uses machine artificial intelligence. It understands that there's some problem with the operating system. Again, it rectifies by itself. And then again, the operating system will be attempted one more time to get loaded. Obviously, it will be successfully loaded. And then once it is successfully restarted, you get again 2 out of 2 checks passed. Okay, so that is a troubleshoot. How to troubleshoot it? I also shown you how to troubleshoot it. The troubleshooting process is to restart it. The troubleshooting mechanism is you have to restart it. It's problem with the operating system failure. If you're getting 1 out of 2 checks passed, it is guaranteed that the system status check is passed and instance status check will be failed. The solution, what you have to do is to restart the machine. When you restart the machine, the operating system will be loaded successfully, and then again you get 2 out of 2 passed. If you're getting 0 out of 2 checks passed, this means system status check is failed. System status check is failed. The meaning of this is system status check is failed. Instance status check is also failed because both are failed. System status check is related to hardware failure. Yes, there can be hardware failure. Yes, in cloud technologies, there can be hardware failures. Probably the EC2 machine which you are using, the 1 GB RAM you are using, maybe some issues with the hardware. So in such case, system status check will fail. When system status check is failed, 100% instance status check will also fail. Obviously, when hardware is not working, obviously operating system will not be loaded in the invalid hardware. When system status check fails, definitely instance status check will also fail. When there is hardware failure, obviously operating system will not be loaded in the invalid hardware or corrupted hardware. Instance status check will also fail. So main cause is hardware failure. So when hardware is failure, how to troubleshoot it? This is AWS cloud data center. You are creating one EC2 machine. 1 out of 1,000 cases, it may be hardware failure. In such case, you get the EC2 machine, you get a status as 0 out of 2 checks passed. In such case, the troubleshooting mechanism, what you have to do is to stop the instance and start it again. You have to stop the instance. When you stop the instance, in this case, when 0 out of 2 pass, that means when system status check is failed, at that point of time, when you stop the instance, and again when you start the instance, it's altogether acquires a new hardware. The EC2 machine will be using altogether. It understands, AWS understands the problem is with the hardware. It gets shifted to a different hardware. And obviously, as it is a new hardware, the machine gets started, functions, works, and then the system status check will fail and operators will be successfully passed. Operating system will be smoothly loaded, and finally you get 2 out of 2 checks passed. Clear. System status check is related to hardware failure. Instance status check is related to operating system failure. In case of operating system failure, the troubleshooting mechanism, what you need to do is to restart the instance. In case of hardware failure, in case system status check fails, what you have to do, you have to stop and start the instance. It acquires a new hardware. It moves to a new hardware automatically. Obviously, as it is a new hardware, it will perfectly work, and then the operating system will be loaded, and finally you get 2 out of 2 checks passed. So this is very frequently asked, even though it's not very important, but this point is frequently asked in the interviews. Do you know about status check? What are the status checks every EC2 machine should pass? In case if a status check fails, what is the solution? System status check is related to hardware failure. Instance status check is related to operating system failure. You have to explain this. In case of instance status check fails, you have to restart the instance. In case system status check fails, you have to explain that it's a hardware failure. You have to stop and start the instance. Okay. I hope I have explained you the concept of status checks, my dear friends. I hope I explained you the concept of status checks, and I hope also explain you the way we need to troubleshoot in case of any status check issues. Clear? Yes, Kiran Marapu, your question.
Hi, Sunil. I'm not 100% sure about the difference between the restart and stop instance and start again. Could you please show us or explain us one more time? I feel they both are same, like restart and stop and start.
Okay, first point, I cannot show it because it should be failed. Then only I can show you the practicals, isn't it?
Okay.
Isn't it, Kiran?
Yeah,
if
yeah,
0 out of 2 checks pass, then only I can restart it. I can show you. I cannot show this practically. But when both the checks are passed, Kiran, when both the checks are passed, restarting the instance and stopping and starting the instance, both are equal. Both are equal. This is a case when 0 out of 2 checks passed. When 0 out of 2 checks passed, at that point, in that condition, if you stop and start the instance, AWS uses artificial intelligence. It understands that there is a hardware failure because the 0 out of 2 checks passed. Automatically, it migrates to a different hardware. Okay.
You mean to say it picks another hardware device
It
and
picks
runs that?
another processor. Volumes will not change. Volume is nothing but storage. Storage
Yeah,
will not
volume
change.
remains the same, and it picks
It picks
another
the
hardware
different
device and
processor or
runs that.
different RAM. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yes. And then it gives a new, altogether new hardware. So it gets troubleshooted. Clear, Kiran?
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you. Yes, Shekhar.
Hi, Sunil.
Yep.
Thank you for clear explanation, all the things.
Thank you.
And my question is, when I stopped and started the virtual machine, it was changing, keep on changing each and every instance, stop and started. It was changing host and IP.
Yes.
Can we, is it possible
those
to
are what public IPs,
IP?
those are IP addresses. IP addresses are subjected to change. Okay. Public IPs, who will provide public IP? Internet service providers.
Yes.
Okay,
And
public IPs are subjected to change. Now here in this particular EC2 machine, what is the IP address? 35.154.41.244. Got it, Shekhar?
Yes.
If I stop the machine and after tomorrow, if I start the machine, I may get the same IP address. I may get a different IP address.
Okay, may I know the concept of to give the static IP?
If you allocate the static IP, if you don't want the IP addresses to change, Shekhar.
Yes, I don't want to change it.
If you don't want IP addresses to change, in that case, you have to allocate static IP to this EC2 machine. When you allocate static IP to this EC2 machine, the IP address does not change. Okay.
Okay.
How to allocate static IP to the EC2 machine? We'll be learning it when we're learning about the VPC service.
Okay, VPC service.
We have virtual
that is
private
what
cloud
my
where we have concept of allocating. Here in AWS, it is called as elastic IP. In regular terms, it is called static IP. In AWS, it's called as an elastic IP. When you learn about VPC, I'll be showing you. We'll be taking an elastic IP. It's a paid one. It's a paid service, and then we will be elastic IP. Will be assigning to a particular machine, so it will not change. Okay, but dynamic generally, public IPs are subjected to change. Clear, Shekhar?
Yes. One more doubt is it comes on AWS developer is different and whatever you explain is different.
Yes. Whatever I'm explaining is solutions architect associate level, but these are important services which everybody should know, even though he's from a developer background. Okay.
Okay.
Clear, Shekhar?
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have discussed now, you know about the concept of status check. Next, protecting the instance from accidental termination. Okay. Protecting the instance from accidental termination. What does that mean? Let's say as per the client requirements or as per the project requirement, as an AWS team, EC2 machine has been created with a lot of difficulties. So you have installed many softwares in that. You have done a lot of configurations and clients are very happy with this particular EC2 machine. And client says that this particular EC2 machines are very, very important. This particular EC2 machine is very, very important. What happens? Can you see there's an option called actions, instances? There's a concept called terminate. Stopping is nothing but the machine will be stopped, and whenever you want, again, you can start the machine. Terminating is nothing but removing the EC2 machine from our dashboard permanently. The complete data will be lost, volumes will be lost, snapshots, everything will be lost. When client says that few instances are very important, by mistake, very big clients, not only big clients, medium level clients, average clients will have a lot of resources. There are clients who are recruiting 100 resources to maintain the AWS infrastructure. Clients like Netflix is having thousands of resources under their infrastructure team. As an infrastructure, they're recruiting to manage their infrastructure on AWS. Do you know the biggest client of AWS is Netflix? Do you know how many number of EC2 machines Netflix will maintain? Number of EC2 instances used by Netflix. How many EC2 instances Netflix is having? 1 lakh instances. Is it? 100,000 instances, my dear friends. So clients will have thousands of resources recruiting as an AWS engineers to manage their infrastructures. One example is Netflix, the biggest client of, you know how much Netflix will pay. How much does Netflix pay to AWS every year? The bill will be $84 million per month. Okay. So clients will pay huge amounts of bills to the managing the infrastructure. At the same time, they recruit many number. By mistake, one AWS resource, by mistake, he may terminate the instance. A resource by mistake may terminate the instance. When by mistake, if it is an important instance, if it is a live instance, production instance, if that gets terminated, that will be a very big problem for the clients. So if you think that few instances are very important, you don't want to terminate the instances, you can apply protection. You can apply protection in the instance. Okay, how can we apply protection? So that's what this slide says, that we can protect the instance with accidental termination. How can you protect the instance? Very simple. Select the machine, whichever is important, actions, instance settings. There's an option called change termination protection, enable protection. Can you see enable termination protection? I'm enabling the protection. The protection is enabled. As the protection is now enabled, actions instance state, if I try to terminate, if I try to terminate, yes, if I like to terminate, see it's not activated. The button is disabled. These instances have termination protection and will not be terminated. So in the interview, they may ask you, my dear friends, how can we protect an instance? How can we protect an instance? Yes, you can protect an instance. Not only one instance, any number of instances. When client says that these are the instances which are used in the production environment. Development instances, testing instance, okay, you can take a risk, but mainly production instances, you don't want any risk, especially by the organizations or third-party organizations who are maintaining the infrastructure for the clients. So for them, it's very, very important to apply the protection. So I have shown you how to apply the protection. You can also remove the protection whenever you require. Let's say, how can we remove the protection? As simple as that. Same steps, go to instance setting, change termination protection, and I will be disabling the protection. Now instance is you can be terminating the instance like this. Important instances, especially production instances, can be protected using this, applying the protection. Okay. Next. I want to discuss about frequently used concepts in the interview. Scale up, scale down, scale in, and scale out. All these are very, very important. You have to understand the difference. Scale up, scale down is called as vertical scaling. Scale in, scale out is called as a horizontal scaling. Okay. Let us discuss about vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. What is the difference between vertical scaling and horizontal scaling? You have to, this is very important concept. Okay. Look at this. This is horizontal axis. Agree? X axis. This is vertical axis. Y axis. We all know it. Let's say we have created an EC2 machine. Let's say we have created an EC2 machine. Okay. If it is a T2 micro instance, the hardware configuration will be obviously 1 GB memory and one virtual CPU. And I think if it is a Linux machine, it is 8 GB of storage. This is the hardware configuration of EC2 machine, generally whatever we create. Isn't it? If you look at this hardware configuration of the EC2 machine, which is there in our dashboard, this is instance type T2 micro. T2 micro, we already know it. This T2 micro instance comes with 1 GB RAM and 1 CPU. Okay, and the storage, whenever you're launching a Linux machine, let's say I'm going with Amazon Linux, by default, if you look at step 4, by default, AWS will allocate 8 GB of storage. That's why I have mentioned it. Assuming this is the Linux machine, if I select T2 micro instance, it is very clear that the T2 micro instances comes with 1 GB RAM and 1 CPU. And by default, if you follow the wizard, by default, it comes with 8 GB of storage. You know the hardware configuration of the EC2 machine. Now, my point is, can we increase the hardware configuration of an existing EC2 machine? My point is, can we increase the hardware configuration of the EC2 machine? Yes, you can do that. You can increase the hardware configuration of EC2 machine. Okay, let's say for example, when I want to increase the hardware configuration, obviously we need to think about 3 components. Whenever you are planning to increase the hardware configuration of the EC2 machine, obviously you need to think about only 3 components: RAM, that is memory, processor, and the hard drive. These are the 3 components. That's it. There's no other components. Scalability is with respect to 3 components: memory, processor, storage. Okay. First, I want to discuss about storage. First, I want to show you how can we scale up the storage. Storage is nothing but the hard drive. This EC2 machine, what you are seeing in the dashboard, the EC2 machine, what you're looking at in the dashboard, comes with 8 GB of storage. Now I want to increase from 8 GB to, I want to increase the storage from 8 GB to 10 GB, 20 GB, whichever you want, you can do that. How can I increase the storage capacity of the EC2 machine? How can we increase the storage capacity of the EC2 machine? Yes, now I'm showing you. My dear friends, how many EC2 machines are there in the dashboard? How many EC2 machines are there in the dashboard? You can see there's only one EC2 machine. Okay. Scroll down. There's something called volumes. There's something called volumes. Till now, we have never discussed about volumes. Till now, I have not discussed about the volumes. This is the first time I'm using a term called volume. Look at the volumes option. How many volumes you can see in the dashboard? One volume. Okay. How many EC2 machines? EC2 machine. And the corresponding volume. How many EC2 machines you can observe in the dashboard? One EC2 machine. How many volumes you can see in the dashboard? There's only one volume. Generally 1:1 ratio. Generally 1:1 ratio. One EC2 machine will have only one volume. In general, there will be 1:1 ratio. If you have 5 EC2 machines, there will be 5 volumes. Volume is nothing but the storage. Can you say 8 GB storage? Storage, the hard disk is nothing but the volume. Every EC2 machine, when you're allocating, when you look at this, when you're launching the EC2 machine, I want to create a new EC2 machine, my dear friends. I want to create a new EC2 machine. Please observe, when I click on launch instance, step 1, I select the operating system. Very good. Step 2, I select the instance type. Instance type, I select T2 micro. It comes with 1 GB RAM and 1 CPU. Very good. Configuring the instances, how many number of instances? I take the default 1 instance. That's fine. Observe the next step, storage. Storage, I'm saying it as hard disk. Can you see here? Volume. Volume storage is nothing but volume. This means whenever you create a new EC2 machine, my dear friends, whenever you create a new EC2 machine, what happens? A new volume will be created. Whenever you create a new EC2 machine, new volume will be created. That's the reason you can see one EC2 machine and the corresponding volume will also be available here. And you can also see in the attachment information, this is the volume, right? Scroll bar, there's something called attachment information. In the attachment information, you can also see to which machine it is attached. What is the name of the machine? Docker host is a machine name. You can see which volume, which volume is used by which instance. That's also you can track it by using the attachment information. I hope I'm very clear. Okay, the instance name is Docker host, and you can see the volumes also, the attachment information. You can see it as Docker host. So that's how which volume is used by which EC2 machine. That's also can be easily trackable here inside the concept of volumes dashboard. Now, what is your requirement? You want to increase the hardware configuration with respect to hard disk. Right now, the EC2 machine comes with 8 GB of storage. You want to increase it to 10 GB. You can do that. Go to that particular volume. Storage is nothing but the volume. So you can see there's by default, it comes with 8 GB. Go to actions, modify volume. And here here the default one is 8. You can change it to 10. You can change it to 20. You can change it to 100. It's up to you. I want to change it to 10. Modify. Are you sure you want to modify the volume? Yes, I want to modify the volume. Yes. Modify volume succeeded. Close. Previously it was 8 GB. Now it will change to 10 GB. It will take some less than a minute. When you click on refresh, now you can see it's 8 GB. When you click on refresh, it has increased it to 10 GB now. I have increased the volume of the EC2 machine. By default, as per free tier limitation, every EC2 machine comes with 8 GB. But if you use 2 GB, as you have modified to 10 GB, that extra 2 GB is billable. I get the bill because I have used extra 2 GB for the EC2 machine of T2 micro instance. So I hope you have understood. Forget about the billing. You have understood that we can increase the hardware configuration. You can increase the volume in the same way. You can also decrease the volume once the data is as long as data is not lost. So I have shown you how can we increase the volume from 8 GB. You can have increase it to 10 GB. You can increase it to 20 GB, 30 GB. You can increase it to 120 GB or 500 GB. What's up to you? No limitation. Next. Sunil, you may have a question. Sunil, what about the hardware configuration of RAM and CPU? Can we increase the RAM of the EC2 machine? Can we increase the CPU of the EC2 machine? Yes, you can do that. I'll show you how can we increase the RAM of the EC2 machine and how can we increase the CPU of the EC2 machine. Right now, this EC2 machine is T2 micro instance. Right now, this EC2 machine is what instance? My dear friends, the EC2 machine which you are able to see now is T2 micro instance. What is the instance type? Instance type. What is T2 micro? T2 micro is instance type. This T2 micro comes with what? 1 GB memory and 1 processor. Now you don't want 1 GB memory, you want 4 GB memory. You want that EC2 machine should have 4 GB memory. And it's not one processor, you want 2 processors. You want to scale up the RAM. You want to scale up the processor. You can do that. In AWS, both goes together. In AWS, you cannot just scale up the RAM with having only one CPU. It both goes together. Especially in AWS, there are different options. AWS provides different types of options. Those are instance types. Go to instance type. There are a lot of combinations, frequently used combinations by the clients are already available in the instance type. What you have experienced is T2 micro instance. T2 micro instance comes with 1 CPU and 1 GB. Let's say you want 4 GB RAM and 2 CPUs. You have to change to T2 medium. In the instance type, you have all the instance type. T2 medium comes with 2 CPUs and 4 GB RAM. If you still want 8 GB RAM, you can go with 8 GB RAM and 2 processors. Let's say you want 8 GB RAM with 4 processors, you can do that. But if you want 8 GB with 1 processor, it's not possible. These are predefined instance type. As per the frequently used requirements, the predefined instance type. Got it? You can select any of the instance type. If you go for xt3.x large, then it comes with the 16 GB RAM and 4 CPUs. So you have to change the instance type. You have to change the instance type. Right now, the instance type is T2 micro. It comes with 1 GB RAM and 1 CPU. I want to go with T2 medium. T2 medium is nothing but 2 CPUs and 4 GB RAM. That's what I'm seeing here. 4 GB RAM is T2 CPUs. It is nothing but T2. What type it is? T2 medium. Okay, so I can change the instance type. If you want to change the instance type, right now you can see the instance type is T2 micro. But if you want to upgrade the instance, you want to expand the RAM, you want to increase the RAM, you want to increase the CPU, then in that case, you have to change the instance type. When you want to change the instance type, my dear friends, it cannot be done in the running state. Machine should be stopped. For volumes, if I want to increase from 8 GB to 10 GB, for increasing the volume, that is for increasing the storage, you don't need to stop the machine. But for increasing the processor and RAM, you have to stop the machine. There's no other option. So when the machine is stopped, then only you can change the instance type. I will be stopping the instance. Actions. Stop. Let's wait for the machine to get stopped. Let us wait for the machine to get stopped. Now the machine is stopped. When the machine is in stopper state, then you can change the instance type. From the T2 micro, I want to change to T2 medium. How can we change the instance type? You can do that. Go to actions, instance settings, change instance type. Change instance type. From T2 micro, I select it as T2 medium. I select it as T2 medium, apply. Now it is a T2 medium instance. Previously it was T2 micro, now it is T2 medium. The moment I start now, I start the EC2 machine. This EC2 machine will be 4 GB memory and it will be 2 CPUs. Okay, I can change the instance type. Okay, so like this, when the machine is in stopper state, you can upgrade the instance or you can also downgrade the instance. This is called as vertical scaling. Vertical scaling is nothing but increasing the hardware configuration of existing machines. Vertical scaling is nothing but increasing the hardware configuration. You can add volumes, you can add processors. You are not creating a new machine in the existing EC2 machine. You are upgrading. This is called as vertical scaling. Vertical scaling is all about increasing the hardware configuration of existing EC2 machine. That's called vertical scaling. Vertical scaling is also called as scale up. Scale up goes up. You can see vertical scaling, scale up. Scale up is increasing the hardware configuration. What is scale down? Obviously decreasing the hardware configuration. That is called scale down. Right now it is T2 medium. Client says that please scale down the instances. We are getting a lot of bill. Yes, I can scale down it. Actions, instance state, instance setting, change the instance type. I'm T2 medium, I'm changing it to T2 micro. This is called scale down. I have scaled down. Scale up is nothing but increasing the hardware configuration. Scale down is decreasing the hardware configuration. This is called as vertical scaling. Both scale up, scale down comes under vertical scaling. What is horizontal scaling? What is horizontal scaling? When the existing infrastructure is not sufficient, when existing EC2 machine is not sufficient, we are creating altogether new EC2 machine. When the existing EC2 machine is not unable to handle the load, to support the existing infrastructure, we altogether creating a new EC2 machine. That is called as horizontal scaling. We will not disturb the existing EC2 machines. Instead, we will be creating one more additional EC2 machines to support the load. That is called as horizontal scaling. Horizontal scaling is called as scale out. Scale out is nothing but creating new EC2 machine. Instead of disturbing the existing machine, creating altogether new EC2 machine is called as scale out. What is example of scale out, my dear friends? What is the example of scale out? What is the example of scale out? Yes, you are right. Auto scaling, which we have discussed yesterday. In the auto scaling feature, what's happening? In the auto scaling feature, what we have learned yesterday, when the traffic increases, are we increasing the hardware configuration of existing EC2 machine? No, we are adding new machines. In the auto scaling feature, are we increasing the hardware configuration of existing machine? No, we are not doing that. In auto scaling altogether, new EC2 machines are getting added. That's called horizontal scaling. Auto scaling comes under horizontal scaling. Scale out is nothing but increasing the number of machines. Scale in is nothing but decreasing the number of machines. Scale in is opposite to scale out. Decreasing the number of machines is called as scaling. Increasing the number of machines is called as scale out. Increasing the hardware configuration of existing EC2 machine rather than creating a new machine is called as vertical scaling. Conceptual importance. These are very important. In the interview, not in the interview, when you're talking with the client, they may deal with the terms called horizontal scaling and vertical scaling. We should not be confused. That's the reason I'm having a pictorial representation of what do you mean by horizontal scaling, what do you mean by vertical scaling. Isn't it? I hope I'm very clear explaining the difference between horizontal scaling and vertical scaling. Scale up, scale down comes under vertical scaling. Scale out, scaling comes under horizontal scaling. Clear? Arun Takala, how are you doing, Arun? Am I clear with the concepts what I'm explaining?
Yes, Sunil.
Hi, Tankala Arun.
Hi, Sunil. Hi, Sunil. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Doing well. Clear about whatever we are learning, Arun?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yes. Any questions?
No, I'm just keen about why we have multiple available centers and regions, right? Why you're using
we have
only
multiple
Mumbai?
We have multiple regions,
data centers, right? I mean,
yes,
yeah.
Mumbai, Singapore, there are a lot of data centers, yes, available.
Yeah,
yes.
But I mean, I think like North Virginia is much cheaper than Mumbai, but I'm not sure why you're using Mumbai is a question for me.
There's no specific reason why I'm using Mumbai. I should select one region and explain it, isn't it? So I preferably select Indian region. Okay, that's it. That's the only reason.
Okay.
You can select any region and you can do hands-on.
Okay, and one more thing I have. Okay, I just popped up. Like in our earlier classes where we talked about the key pair thing which we download and can be used right in the eventually while launching the instances, correct?
Yes, when you're launching the instances at the last, it will ask you to download the key pair. Using the key pair, we are able to connect, isn't it?
Yeah. So can the same key pair be used for both Windows machine and Linux machine?
You can do that. Okay, so that's not a problem.
That's not a problem.
Yes.
Okay.
Multiple instances can have same key pair.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Chetan, good evening, Chetan.
Good evening, sir. Thank you very much. Actually, I am from Mumbai and I am development manager and experience in AWS, Python, etc.
So you already know AWS, Chetan?
Yeah, a little bit. I can.
Okay, is it boring?
No. It is
because you already know it.
No. It's okay, but I'm getting a lot of things. Okay. Even I know very well, but it's still. My question is, you just mentioned that protection thing. See, if I have two resources in my team and both handling that administrative part,
okay.
So how I can give permission? They can. Start, you understand? I think.
I understand. You are talking about identity and access management. Okay. How can we? You know about identity and access management, Chetan?
Yeah, a little bit. We can create that separate.
Yes. So one resource should only deal with EC2 machines. One more resource should only deal with S3 buckets. Okay. You can restrict the AWS account to specific services to specific users in the concept of identity and access management, Chetan. So when we learn about identity and access management, that will be very interesting.
Yeah. One more. Sorry. One more.
No problem.
See, I use 3 months back my AWS account and I have created somewhere that EC2, let's say in any region. How I can find out, because there is many regions like you said 75 or 77 something. So how I can find out where I created that EC2 instance in somewhere or any service?
I understand your question. You have created one EC2 machine in different region, some region.
Yeah.
I don't. Or Sydney, you don't remember.
Yeah.
Now you want to delete that machine because to avoid the bill, but you don't know in which data center you have created it, in which region it is created.
Right.
So Chetan, unfortunately, there's no report where we can see list of all the infrastructure which we have created respective regions. We need to manually check it and make sure you delete it. That's the reason we should be very careful. Whenever you are practicing, please stick to one particular region and practice it. And after practicing, please delete whatever we have created.
Yeah. Okay.
Clear, Chetan?
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Anything more, Chetan?
No. Thank you.
So many interesting concepts like identity and access management and the virtual private cloud, Route 53, Chetan.
Yeah.
This will be very, very interesting. Okay. I hope you will enjoy the
training. Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chetan. Yes. So we now know about status checks. You know how to protect the instance. You know the difference between vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. That is nothing but scale up, scale down, scale in, scale out. attaching the volume and detaching the volume. Okay. 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 Before explaining about attaching the volume and detaching the volume, so look at this. In our case, how many EC2 machines in the dashboard? As you can see, my dear friends, there's only one EC2 machine, isn't it? EC2 machines and the corresponding volumes. How many EC2 machines? Okay, let's have pictorial representation. That will be much interesting. You can see there is one EC2 machine and that one EC2 machine using one volume. Okay. Volume is attached to the EC2 machine. You can see now. One machine and how many volumes? One volumes. Okay. You can see one volume, but one machine can have multiple volumes. One machine can have multiple volumes. Okay. I'll show you now. Let's create a new instance. I go with Amazon Linux. T2 micro, only one machine. Coming to storage. By default, one machine will have one volume. This is the default volume. Default volume is 8 GB storage. If you want, you can here change it to 10 GB or 20 GB. And you can say delete on termination. Delete on termination. What do you mean by deletion? Delete on termination selected? When you remove the EC2 machine, when you remove the EC2 machine, corresponding volume will also be removed automatically. That is called delete on termination. Delete on termination is nothing but volume will be deleted whenever the EC2 machine is terminated. When you remove the EC2 machine, corresponding volume will also be removed. But when you're creating an EC2 machine, you can have additional volumes, add new volume. Now you can see there are two volumes now. Deletion termination, it's up to you whether you want the new volume to be removed automatically or you want the new volume not to be removed. It's up to you. But the point is, one machine, this is to help you to understand. This helps you to understand that one machine can have multiple volumes. I want to have multiple volumes. And one more important point. The default volume type is root volume. You cannot change here. There's no option. It's default. The additional volumes which you are planning to attach to the EC2 machines, the additional volumes which you are planning to attach the EC2 machines, those are called as EBS volumes. So when there are multiple volumes, one will be definitely root volume. When you are creating EC2 machine, the default volume will be root volume. The additional volumes are called as what volumes? EBS volumes. Elastic block storage. Elastic block storage. One will be root volume. Definitely one will be root volume. Some may have asked you a question. What is the difference between root volume and EBS volume? Root volume is the default volume. That's fine. But in the root volume, the operating system will be loaded. Let's say if you're selecting Linux operating system or if you're selecting Windows operating system, the root volume will have operating system. So that you need to keep in mind. Technical difference. Both are volumes. One volume will be default root volume. You cannot change the root volume. So additional volumes are EBS volume. You can have multiple additional volumes. And all the additional volumes are root volumes. All the additional volumes are EBS volumes. I hope I'm very clear. Click on next security group. Let's say, don't worry about this. Just to explain you, create a new key pair. Some key pair, I'm downloading it. AWS patch 81 and downloading the key pair. Launch instances. View instances. So this is a new machine which you have created. This machine is having how many volumes? What is the name of the machine? I have named it as machine 1. Now tell me this machine is having how many volumes? Yes, 2 volumes. One will be root volume, the other one will be EBS volumes. So total, how many EC2 machines? You can see 2 EC2 machines, but how many volumes? There will be 3 volumes. Generally, it is 1:1 ratio, but it's not mandatory that it will be 1:1. One machine can have multiple volumes. This is the case example. Now, if you go to volumes dashboard, you can see 3 volumes, and in the attachment information, you can see machine 1, the first 2 volumes are attached to the EC2 machines. Clear about this? Out of these 2 volumes, which will be root volume, which is EBS volume, how to identify? Which one is the root volume and which one is the EBS volume? How to identify? Root volume will have snapshot. Don't worry what is snapshot, but understand that root volume will have snapshot. Okay, the additional volumes will not have snapshots. If you want, you can detach the additional volume, the EBS volume. Root volume cannot be detached. Root volume cannot be detached because obviously it will have operating system. The additional volume what you have created, that can be detached from the EC2 machine. I hope I'm very clear, my dear friends. The additional volume can be detached from the EC2 machine. I want to detach it. Yes, the first one is an additional volume. I want to detach it. Select the machine. Go to actions. Right now it is attached to a machine. You can see the state is in use. State is in use. That means this particular volume is in use. Used by which machine? The machine 1. But if you want, you can detach it. Actions is an option called detach volume. It's like a pen drive. Like you connect it, it gets identified. You remove it, it gets detected. It will be detected, and you can remove it like an external hard disk. I have detaching the volume. Within no time, it gets detached. Now you can see the status will be now changed to available. It is not used by any EC2 machine. It is detached. I have detached the volume, and this volume I can attach it to other EC2 machine. I can use it to other. I can detach it to other. I can add it to other EC2 machine. I can add it to some other EC2 machine also. How to add it to some other? Like how you have detached it, you can attach it. Very simple. Like how you have detached it. Select the actions. There's an option called attach, and here you will get the machine. Which machine you have attached? There are 2 machines. I can attach it Docker host, and click on save. That's it. Attach. It gets attached. Are you understanding? You can attach and detach the volumes. Volumes all about storage. Okay, it's already late. So now if you want to terminate the instance, you can terminate it. Let's say the machine 1 which I have created, I can terminate the instance. I just want to show you. I have terminated the instance. When you terminate the instance, my dear friends, when you terminate the instance, by default, according to the default settings, the root volume will also be terminated automatically, removed. Additional volume, it's up to you whether you want the, if you select this checkbox, it will be removed automatically. If you don't select it, it will be available. Okay. Okay. Akhil Reddy, how are you doing? Is this clear whatever we are learning day to day? Akhil, what's your comment?
Yeah, Sunil, yeah, thanks for your suggestion. Yeah, your class are really good.
Okay.
Sunil, like I just wanted to ask you, like, do I need to start the DevOps first and then AWS, or
it's up to you? There are people who learn AWS first and then get into DevOps. Vice versa is also possible. There are people who learn DevOps first and come to AWS. It's up to you.
Okay.
Both are equally good.
We have the
When
link,
you are
like,
learning DevOps, I make sure that
like,
whatever we are learning DevOps, even though it's related to AWS, we use only 10% or 5% of AWS. That I will be making sure that you will be comfortable. Okay. Anything more, Akhil?
And like how to get like more access towards the videos, like how we need to send that, like how we get the videos. Is it
Are you in the
something
WhatsApp group?
Yeah, I think that I have.
You are in the WhatsApp group, right?
Okay, yeah, I think.
Please check the message now.
Okay, sure.
I already have shared you the payment information.
Also, like how we do it and everything, or only the recording sessions will be shared along with this thing?
What do you mean by how we do it?
Yeah, documentation, like how and
when you pay 999, you get everyday recordings.
Okay.
And whatever the notes which I'm using here as part of the training. Okay, this notes. And the PowerPoint slides, you will get it. The PPT which I'm using it. Okay. These are the 3 things you get it just for rupees 999 for all the sessions. Okay. Right from first day. Session starts at 5:30 to 6:30, right? It ends at 6:30.
Yeah.
By 7:30 or 8 o'clock, that particular recording will be available to you after 1 hour. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Sunil. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Akhil. So We have learned about attaching and detaching the volumes. Snapshot is pending, my dear friends. This snapshot concept, we will move it to tomorrow. Okay, it's already late. We have not discussed about snapshot. I think I have terminated the instance, right? Okay, when you have terminated the instance, the corresponding volume will be terminated automatically. You have only 2 volumes and one is already detached, I think so. One is already detached. So that detached volume, I don't want this volume also. It's always good to remove the volumes also. Delete volume. That's the additional volume I have deleted. And this is the root volume for the one EC2 machine, which is there. Okay, perfect. So hands-on is very, very important, my dear friends. Okay, hands-on is very important. Listening to, if you're not finding time to do hands-on, if you're working in a shift timings, you may be busy, please watch the recordings when you have free time. Okay, very simple. Watch the recordings, it will be good revision. The recordings will have lifetime access to you. Okay, so please watch the recordings to get the best. The next thing what we need to discuss about tomorrow's class is snapshot, customized Amazon machine images, customized AMIs. So those are plans for tomorrow's session. Okay, before ending, let's have final call with one more participant. Kartikeya Koduru.
Hi Sunil, thank you so much for giving me a chance to ask.
Thank you, Kartikeya. Actually, there are many more number of participants, right? So we cannot talk with everybody. So
Exactly.
Kartikeya, so I'm randomly picking up some of the participants and just to make sure the training is more attractive and live. So I'm just randomly picking up some interactions. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my question is, Sunil, so you have added the volumes today, right? Using the EC2 machines.
When I'm creating an EC2 machine, I have added new volume. Okay. By default, you'll have one volume, that is root volume. I have added one more volume, isn't it?
Yeah. So adding the volume will also add the processor, memory, and the hardware, right?
No. It's only storage. When I'm adding the volume, you have mentioned, right, how much GB, whether it is 10 GB volume or 20, it's only storage. It does not affect the processor and memory. Processor and memory depends upon the instance type. When you have selecting, Kartikeya, when you are launching the instance, first step we select operating system. This step 2 is about processor. And whatever you selected, that will be constant.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah, clear. And while you increase the volume, will the load also increase, like the traffic and all?
Volume is storage, right, Kartikeya? You want to store more files or you want to store more data.
Correct.
So it's all about storage. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sunil, for your.
So please continue the learning and enjoy the AWS.
Yeah. I'm listening every day and I'm attending. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kartikeya. If you're happy, please share to your friends our upcoming trainings.
Definitely. Yeah. I've shared to multiple friends of mine and they are added already.
They are also happy?
Yeah, they are.
Okay. Thank you, Kartikeya.
Thank you, Sunil. Yeah.
Okay, so it's already late. So let's end for today. So every day, remember, every day we'll be adding more and more knowledge. By the end of 25 days, you'll have strong understanding about how exactly AWS helps the clients to manage their infrastructure in a much more professional approach without any downtime, availability, scalability, and pay as you go basis. That's it. That's always there in right from day one to day end. So see tomorrow, same time, where we'll learn many more concepts of AWS. Thank you and stay tuned. Bye, everybody.